Did a single mistranslation change how millions understand the Shiva Lingam, a symbol that represents eternity? And the infinite energy of the universe has over time been reduced to a much narrower meaning. Today, we are not entering controversy. We are examining, through Sanskrit, through logic, and through original texts, because without understanding the language, the meaning is easily lost. So first, we begin with the word itself, ling. In Sanskrit, ling does not mean a physical body part. It means a sign, a mark, a symbol, that by which something deeper can be understood. This is not an assumption. It is how the word is used across Sanskrit literature. For example, when smoke rises in the sky, it becomes the sign of fire. In the same way, this entire visible universe is a sign of an unseen reality. This idea is directly expressed in a traditional verse. Akasham lingamityahuh prithvi tasya pitika, alayah sarva bhutanam layana lingamuchyate. Here, the sky itself is described as the lingam, and the earth as its base. That in which all existence arises, and into which it dissolves, is called lingam. Now pause here for a moment, because this definition alone expands the meaning far beyond any limited physical interpretation. But to understand this properly, we must look at a fundamental rule of Sanskrit. In Sanskrit, a single word can have multiple meanings, and the correct meaning is always decided by context. Without context, any translation can become misleading. Take a simple example. The word sendav can mean salt, and it can also mean a horse. Now imagine a battlefield. If a commander shouts, "Bring sendav," no one will bring salt, they will bring a horse, because the context decides the meaning. Now apply this same rule. When the discussion is about the cosmos, about Brahman, about the infinite, then the word ling cannot be reduced to a physical meaning. It has to be understood in that very context. And this leads to a direct question. If ling only referred to a physical organ, then how is this same word used in scriptures for feminine forms as well? This is not a small detail. This is a direct contradiction. Because a word that is limited to one physical definition cannot be applied across different contexts like this. And it is exactly at this point that the modern, limited interpretation begins to break. Because here, ling is not describing a body. It is pointing to a principle, a deeper reality, a marker of something that cannot be seen directly, but can be understood through its presence. Now take this one step further. There is a profound description found in the Puranic tradition. An infinite pillar of light, with no beginning and no end. A presence so vast that even Brahma and Vishnu could not find its limits. This is described as a Jyotirlinga, not as a physical structure, but as a manifestation of infinite energy. A reminder that the ultimate reality is not confined to any single form, not limited by shape or dimension, but present throughout all existence. And when this is understood, the meaning of ling naturally shifts from something physical to something cosmic, from an object to a principle, from limitation to infinity. And perhaps, this is where the real understanding begins. Now, let us turn to the second important question. If the original meaning is so clear, then how did the interpretation become so limited? To understand this, we must look at how knowledge is interpreted, because every language, especially Sanskrit, does not function only at the surface level. It operates through layers. A word carries not just a direct meaning, but also context, philosophy, and the intent of the text. When these layers are not fully understood, the meaning begins to shrink, and sometimes it can change completely. History shows us that this has happened before. When complex systems of knowledge are interpreted without fully understanding their foundation, simplification replaces depth, and symbols lose their original significance. What appears symbolic may actually be describing a deeper structure of reality. Ancient Indian thought never saw the universe as something static. It described existence as dynamic, interconnected, and constantly evolving. Not fixed, but in motion. Not isolated, but unified. And in this context, the idea of ling takes on a very different meaning. It is not an object, it is a representation of the source of creation, a point of emergence, and a point of dissolution, This idea appears again in Vedic literature. In a powerful verse, reality itself is described as resting within a fundamental support. Yasmin bhumirantriksham dyoryasmin nadhyahita yatragnishandrama surya vatastishtantirpita. Here, earth, space, sky, fire, moon, sun, and air are all described as resting within a single principle. This is not describing a physical form. It is describing a cosmic foundation, a structure that holds existence together. Now pause and observe this carefully. If ancient texts are speaking in terms of such vast cosmic principles, then reducing a term like ling to a single physical meaning creates a serious limitation. Because the scale does not match, the depth does not match, and the context does not match. This is where interpretation must be handled carefully, because when context is ignored, even a correct word can lead to an incorrect understanding. Now look at another important aspect. Even today, traditional systems like Panchang calculate celestial events with remarkable accuracy. They track planetary motion, eclipses, and cosmic cycles, often years in advance. This shows that ancient knowledge systems were not disconnected from observation. They were deeply aligned with the patterns of the universe, which means their symbols were not random. They were attempts to express reality in a language of insight. And this brings us to the present moment. Today, most people encounter knowledge through summaries, through simplified explanations, through second-hand interpretations. But original meaning rarely survives in simplification. To approach it, even a basic understanding of Sanskrit creates a shift. Because the moment you begin to read directly, even a single word, even a single verse, you start seeing a different dimension of meaning, not imposed, but discovered. And perhaps this is the real turning point. Not in what we are told, but in how deeply we are willing to look. Because truth does not depend on interpretation alone. It reveals itself to those who are willing to go beyond the surface. And when that happens, symbols are no longer misunderstood. They are recognized, and with that recognition, clarity begins. Most people never question what they were told. But if you've really understood this, form or beyond, comment below.